hope everyone enjoyed the panels. I tried to get to everyone and listen. I wished I could have stayed for all of them, but they were really strong. I hope you enjoyed them. Our program is continuing for just a little bit longer, and I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Dr. Tussi San Martin, who is the president and CEO of Plan International USA. And I would just like to say, as one of our key partners on the Gender 360 Summit, I want to thank you, Dr. San Martin, for giving us access to your amazing team. We've enjoyed working with them tremendously. They've been so participatory and responsive and helped design and really think through, and of course, gave us access to some amazing youth advocates. So thank you very much, Dr. San Martin.
All right, well, a couple of things. First of all, I'm surprised that everybody's back, but I'm pretty sure it's got more to do with the reception than me, but whatever. Thank you for coming back. The other thing I will say is, for those of you who know me, you will very much appreciate that I am not going to sing at all. So anyway, so listen, we've been hearing all day a number of things, and what I want to do is try to collect some of the themes and then provide some reflections to maybe take on to tomorrow. And one of the things, of course, we've been hearing a lot about is the importance of investing in girls, and all the really good reasons in terms of, economics, GDP growth, reduction in, child mortality, and so on, all the good reasons for doing that. Everybody from Angelique to President Obama have articulated very clearly the reasons for doing that. But it's important to remember that the reason that a focus on women and girls matter is really not just a matter of economics. And in fact, a colleague of mine, my counterpart actually in the UK, Tanya Barron, wrote not too long ago, she said, let's not forget that this is a question first and foremost of rights. So in other words, it's not, we care about these issues and we want, and we have this focus not because it's the right thing to do economically, but because systematic violation of rights based on gender, on any gender, having just come from the LGBTQIA session, is something that diminishes all of us. And we have to deal with it. We cannot ignore it, and it goes beyond economics. And actually, that brings us to the SDGs, to the Sustainable Development Goals in general, and to SDG 5, in particular. And I think that the SDGs changed the game for everyone, because the SDGs, I think, in order to be able to deliver on that, you really need a rights-based mentality. And what do I mean by that? Look, the reason I say that the SDGs changed the game for everyone is because this is no longer a set of goals, objectives, and targets that have been handed to the poor countries of the world by some number of, faceless experts somewhere. It is a set of goals and objectives that the entire, that the world, let's not say the entire world, there are a few countries out there that haven't signed up to it, but that the world in general, the world's community in general has signed up to. And we've agreed collectively to do this. So the Sustainable Development Goals really, at the end of the day, is about social accountability and strengthening the fabric of social accountability. And then that brings me to reflect on, well, so what does that mean for an organization like Plan? And what should that mean for all the organizations that are represented here in this room? I think it means that we need to look inside ourselves and consider how we need to transform ourselves so that we can be effective supporters of transformative change. It means that, and you know, I mean, Plan has had this campaign, Because I'm a Girl, for the last 5 years about, you know, investing in education. And going forward, the campaign cannot be led by Plan. The campaign has to be led, and the question again of gender rights has to be led by youth themselves. It has to be led by the girls themselves, which is why it's so important to have youth representatives here. This cannot be our agenda that we're training them to deliver on. This has to be about creating a space for youth, for girls, for women to discuss, to develop their own agenda, identify their priorities, and then it's our role, you know, to accompany. It can no longer be our role to lead. If we want sustainability, if we want ownership, if we want to be able to deliver on the promise of the SDGs. And so, therefore, for an organization like Plan, it really does require a top-to-bottom change in how we're governed, in how we're staffed, in the skills that we have in our organization, because, you know, we're an adult organization, and adults, you know, we've got all this knowledge and experience, and of course we want, you know, to be able to impart all that wisdom and knowledge on, you know, the youth who don't know, you know, any better. But that's not right. You know, we need to be able to be willing to step aside and provide a space, and provide a safe space to discuss, you know, difficult issues, bring them forward, and then accompany. And so in Plan, for example, in order to do that, we've developed and are in the process of putting in every country where we work, you know, youth advisory boards. And those youth advisory boards, and you know, those of you who heard Kyle today, has been a member of the youth advisory board. You know, those are responsible for, you know, evaluating, for asking questions, for probing about our strategy, our program design, our program approach. And we're in 70 countries. There are about 39 of these youth advisory boards now in place, and we hope that by 2020 there'll be youth advisory boards everywhere. In our own organization, we've gone further, and we said, no, we think it's important to have a youth in our board as a full-fledged member of our board with a voice and a vote, and there as part of the conversation, probing management about strategy, about priorities. We need to create that space. And we need to recognize that, you know, instinctively as adults, we really don't necessarily know, we've forgotten how to relate to young members and how to engage them. And so we need to have, you know, that expertise in-house to do that. And I will say that when we invest like that in our own staffing, in our own skills, in, you know, in changing our own structures, in changing our policies, you know, some very powerful things can happen. And just to give you a few examples, you know, as we have, I think, at some point mentioned in some sessions today, you know, I think you're all familiar with the International Day of the Girl. What all of you may not be familiar with is the fact that the International Day of the Girl was in large part established through the very effective advocacy of young people. Young people that we supported, but young people that were leading that particular effort or an initiative to establish a day every year where we would focus on, you know, the challenges of gender equality, on the specific issues of, you know, affecting girls, and be able to both celebrate and renew sort of global commitment to addressing the issues. And again, they were very much at the center of advocating with the governments in the United Nations, and it was their energy that really lent credibility and energy to that whole initiative. Likewise, you know, the girls' rights are an integral part of SDG 5, in large part because of advocacy that the girls did themselves. You know, again, some of it supported by, you know, partners like Plan, the Nike Foundation, and so on, but girls leading the agenda, not us. And equally, you heard Nupur today, this morning, talking about her own experience in the context of some of the programming that we're doing in Bangladesh, having been there not too long ago. Some of the most effective work that is being done in Bangladesh in gender-based violence, in raising awareness around child marriage. You know, Bangladesh, like many countries, has all the right laws in the books. It's just that those laws are not enforced. And, you know, the work to raise awareness about that, to create support at the local level, building to national level, that work being led by girls, by young women like Nupur, that's very powerful. The most effective agents of transformative change are the youth, are the girls, are the young women themselves. And we need to figure out how we transform ourselves to be able to support that. The last thing I want to say is, you know, I've been talking a lot about voice, and I want to just call out another theme that emerged here today, and that's the importance of data to support this agenda. It was said here, Melinda Gates was very articulate about that at the Women Deliver conference in Copenhagen. The lack of data around many of the issues, you know, around girls' rights and gender rights affect, of course, the ability, our collective ability to develop effective policies on that and to track progress, which is, of course, why, as planned with many organizations, including organizations in this room, are now going to be establishing an initiative to track progress, you know, on the SDG 5 in particular, and become a resource, collect information from around the world on and data that can serve advocates, that can serve policymakers, that can serve research to support that strengthening of social accountability that is absolutely critical to successful accomplishment and delivery on all the SDG goals, and certainly around SDG 5. So, you know, I guess the last thing I'll say is, you know, when we talk about transforming the world, when we talk about transforming societies, I think the first thing that we have to ask is, what do I need to do to transform my organization so that I'm fit for purpose to be able to effectively accompany youth and girls and young people of all genders on this effort around gender equality. So thank you very much. Thank you to FHI 360 USAID for organizing this incredible event, and onward to more parts of this conference. Thank you.